For everybody who don't know who I am, this is your boy by the name of Mr. 6_foot_5, and all praises to the Most High Yahweh Bahawashim, Yahweh Shah. While y'all people are out here protesting, being distracted with what's going on, it's time to enlighten you people what's going on right behind y'all fucking backs. I'm almost positive that all of us have heard of the phrase, never let a good crisis go to waste. I would say that even applies even if the crisis was engineered. And we also heard the phrase of order out of chaos, which is a strategy that I believe that we are seeing unfold right in front of our eyes. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with Galilean dialectic, which is referred as problem, reaction, solution. If you have a goal of, like, let's say global governance, you may not be able to just roll this out because you may be hit with resistance by the people. And there may be no little to no justification for this agenda. So what can you do to justify this? You engineer a crisis, basically a global health pandemic scenario. We have been working in documents such as the 2010 Rockefeller Lockstep document, in Event 201, the tabletop exercise and simulation of a global coronavirus pandemic that was sponsored by the World Economic Forum, John Hopkins, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which took place last October. This crisis, which I believe is to be engineered, produces its desired responses, my people, a controlled demolition of the global economy, basically wiping out the middle class, basically creating more dependency upon the government through stimulus money and bailouts, which essentially equate to the ownership we experienced through the authoritarian lockdowns, which was the conclusion of the Rockefeller Lockstep document on how to mitigate the crisis. Now, we are also witnessing massive civil unrest under the guise of seeking social justices and ending inequalities and systematic racism, as they call it, when in reality, the rights are nothing more than an organized destabilization operation, much like the ones we have seen the United States and the CIA carry out in countless countries before they toppled their governments and installed puppet regimes. This is a planned operation. So back to the problem, reaction, solution strategy. And we have an engineer problem, COVID-19. We have the reaction, economic collapse, and the civil unrest. And now it's time for a solution, my people, a solution that has already been predetermined, prepackaged, and ready to be rolled the fuck out. The solution was just announced by the World Economic Forum, the same economic forum who asked John Hopkins to host Event 201. Their solution, what they're calling it, my people, the Great Reset. And this is an initiative that they just launched last week. And the Great Reset is not nothing new that they just made up over last week. This is a long-standing global governance agenda which ties into the United Nations 2030 for sustainable development, which seeks to regulate, control, and redefine all aspects of your life as we know it. In June of last year, the United Nations and the World Economic Forum found a strategic partnership to accelerate the implementation of the UN 2030 agenda. Here's a quote from the World Economic Forum about the Great Reset directly from their website. In fact, of the silver lining of the pandemic is that it has shown how quickly it can make radical changes to our lifestyle. Almost essentially, the crisis forces businesses, individuals to abandon practices long claimed to essential form frequent air travel to working in an office. Now, back in January 2020 of this year, the World Economic founder and executive chairman Klaus Schwab was asked, what can we expect to be the focus of the Davos 2020? And he referred to his book from 1970, a new economic model called the stockholder capitalism.
Well, thank you so much. And of course, it's the headquarters of the World Economic Forum, which is celebrating 50 years as its founder. What does that mean to you personally?
It doesn't mean celebrating 50 years of Davos or of our existence. For me, it means to celebrate 50 years of the stakeholder concept, of stakeholder capitalism, because I wrote the book in 1970 and conceptualized, probably for the first time, what we call today stakeholder capitalism. And I wanted to create a place where stakeholders could meet. And that was the original idea of Davos. So I'm very pleased and happy that we are not only celebrating 50 years, but we are celebrating now finally that stakeholder capitalism has become or is becoming mainstream.
When we look at the World Economic Forum website, we see that stakeholder capitalism is one of the main objectives of the Great Reset. At the time of this interview back in January of this year, the stock market was at its all-time high. The sense of urgency for a new economic model really wasn't there.
I see also, I would call it that we have urgency in emergency. related to the environmental issues, climate change, but also biodiversity and so on, we face an emergency situation. And we have not yet really the sense of urgency to address those issues. We see it now with the fires in Australia, and of course it's relatively difficult to get such a sense of urgency if the stock markets are doing so well as we see now.
Now we have economic conditions comparable to the Great Depression due to the fallout of the coronavirus lockdowns. Now, lo and behold, we have justifications for the new Great Reset and the 50-year-old plan for the new economic system. The World Economic Forum hosted a virtual summit for the Great Reset, and the attendees included Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, the United Nations Secretary General Guterres, Prince Charles, the head of the International Monetary Fund, and top representatives of MasterCard and many others. And the general consensus was that we cannot afford to miss the window of opportunity to implement the Great Reset because COVID has shown our current system to be broken.
Crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. It has laid bare the fundamental lack of social cohesion, fairness, inclusion, and equality. Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system for the need for the post-corona era.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. As you rightly say, it is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate, and rebalance our world.
But these are unprecedented times. Every person on the planet has been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. Our world came to a standstill, and it became clear that we did not have the answer or the mechanisms to address such an unprecedented global threat. The threats posed by this dreadful pandemic came upon us suddenly with very little warning. The threat of climate change has been more gradual, but its devastating reality for many people and their livelihoods around the world, and its ever greater potential to disrupt, surpasses even that of COVID-19. We have a golden opportunity to seize something good from this crisis. Its unprecedented shockwaves may well make people more receptive to big visions of change. And global crises like pandemics and climate change know no borders and highlight just how interdependent we are as one people sharing one planet.
History would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset. From the perspective of the IMF, what we see is inevitably a very massive injection of fiscal stimulus to help countries deal with this crisis and shift gear for growth to return. But it is paramount that this growth leads to a greener, smarter, and more fairer world in the future. I'm particularly keen to take advantage of the low oil prices today to eliminate harmful subsidies and to bring in place carbon price as an incentive for the investments for the future. Secondly, we know the digital economy is the big winner of this crisis.
We have a choice to remain passive, which would lead to the amplification of many of the trends we see today: polarization, nationalism, racism, and ultimately increased social unrest and conflicts. But we have another choice. We can build a new social contract, particularly integrating the next generation. We can change our behavior to be in harmony with nature again. And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives. In short, We need a great reset.
Now check this out. According to the World Economic Forum website, the Great Reset agenda will have three main components. First, we'll steer market towards fair outcomes, aka wealth redistribution through taxations and regulations. The second component of the Great Reset, a general will ensure that the investment advance shared goals such as equality and sustainability, aka there will be global standards regulated by the task force to control every aspect of your life. Through the regulations, ensure the compliance of the 2030 agenda. The third and final priority of the Great Reset agenda is the innovations of the fourth industrial revolution to support the public good, especially by addressing health and social challenges, aka this is the Transformers agenda to merge man with machine and enforce compliance with global governance initiatives laid out by the U.S. 2030 agenda. Now, this may be a good time to include that 14 out of the 17 sustainable goals, they include vaccinations.
I'm not going to talk about mandatory policy and where I stand on that point. It may well come up later, kind of hoping it does in the questions, because then I'll share with you my rather one-sided opinion on that. So what could be a better return on investment, Rob? What could we invest our resources in if we're not going to tackle hesitancy? If hesitancy is not to blame, how are we going to deal with this in the future? Well, I would argue that now is the time where we need a shift in perspective. Immunization is a best buy. 14 of 17 SDGs are addressed through immunization. And when we talk about universal health coverage, we talk about primary health care, we talk about health security. Without immunization, there's none of that.
Now, my people, I want to focus on the third aspect of the Great Reset, the implementation of the fourth industrial revolution, which Schwab has also written a book about, and is a long-standing transhumanistic agenda which seeks to merge man with machine and artificial intelligence. And this is something that Elon Musk, owner of Tesla, is already working on with his Neuralink project. Now, I'm about to show you a couple videos that are coming directly from the World Economic Forum video published about 3 years ago, speaking about the fourth industrial revolution. I will be commenting throughout these videos. Now let's get to it.
We are wondering what is happening to the world. Everything is changing.
The very idea of human being some sort of natural concept is really going to change.
Our bodies will be so high-tech, we won't be able to really distinguish between what's natural and what's artificial.
Now, everybody, this is fucked up. This bitch has said the very idea that human beings being some type of natural concept is going to change, and that our bodies are going to be so fucking high tech that we wouldn't be able to understand what's natural and what's artificial. This is the merger of man and machine. This is the transhuman agenda. This is the World Economic Forum official video on their own YouTube channel. If you don't believe me, go and check it out for yourself.
Inside our own heads is the most complex arrangement of matter in the known universe.
You might ask yourself, can we get to be superhumans?
The original Industrial Revolution was driven by the discovery that you could use steam engines to do all kinds of interesting things.
But that was followed by additional revolutions for electricity and computers and communications technology. We're now in the early stages of the fourth Industrial Revolution, which is bringing together digital, physical, and biological systems.
One of the features of this fourth industrial revolution is that it doesn't change what we are doing, but it changes us.
There, you just heard Klaus Schwab, the founding and executive chairman for the World Economic Forum, say that the fourth industrial revolution is going to change us, change humanity.
With the ability to visualize brain activity, for example, through a simple consumer-based EEG device, it gives us access to ourselves in ways that we've never before thought possible. It unlocks the black box that is the brain and enables us to really, truly be able to realize an identity that is aspirational.
There's now a scientific foundation for the effects of mindfulness on the brain, on the genome, on biological aging. And when the human mind does know itself, then you get the potential for a new renaissance that restructures itself in terms of our relationship to life, our relationship to the planet, our relationship to work.
We need a different economic model. And by that, I don't mean capitalism versus communism. What I'm talking about is a shift in the system along the lines of the two big changes that happened in the 20th century, Keynesianism, with a much greater focus on health and education and the role of government working with business, and then a reaction against that in late century to neoliberalism, where the focus was on free markets, freedom of the individual, and getting governments out of the way. We need a shift to a new system that will allow us to meet the basic needs of every human on the planet, that will live within planetary means, that will be fairer, and that will be focused as its key goal, not on growth per se, but on maximizing human well-being. And history tells us that a values shift is triggered by creation of a new story about how we want to live.
Now, I want you people to peep game. They were talking about this new economic model not being based off of hard work or being a business owner creating wealth and success. They were talking about a new global economic order, that they will be fair, so they say, and essentially redistribute wealth, your wealth as they see fit, to lower the standards where you are and your countries are in some countries and raise them in more than others.
So the goal is no longer, I want to be less bad, less monotonous, less unsafe, less unjust. It's really about a diverse, safe, healthy, and just world with clean air, clean water, clean soil, clean energy.
Together we are fighting to preserve our fragile climate from irreversible damage and devastation of unthinkable proportions.
Now, are you people beginning to see how they're using this COVID-19 crisis to accelerate their 2030 agenda by global governance? And also how they use public figures such as celebrities to help sell it to the public. Because we all know a lot of people do not trust the governments and institutions. And of course, the fourth industrial revolution will be sold to humanity as a way to better mankind. A word which the United Nations do not like to use, the word mankind. The UN doesn't like that they want to humankind, right? They will make paralyzed people walk again. They will help the blind see again. While this is all amazing, and history shows us that time and time again that you can be used to benefit humanity, often weaponized in turn against humanity.
Humans have always been using tools, but because of the recent advances in technology, we're beginning to have machines that can augment us in all sorts of interesting ways.
I was the first person in the world to be able to voluntarily move my legs while stepping in a robot by exciting the nervous system using electrical stimulators directly onto the spine. We believe that a cure will be possible if enough of the right people have the will to fast-track a cure for paralysis.
The prediction of 5 million jobs lost by 2020 to technology is serious, but it's not the main question. Construction, manufacturing, services, public health and education, these industries will still exist. The main question is, what will be the future of work? How will we define work? How will we share the wealth?
One of the things that I think is so essential to free and open societies is freedom of thought. And up until now, the conversation we've been having is around freedom of speech. Once we can access people's thoughts and access people's emotions, we have to create a space that enables people to think freely, to think divergent thoughts, to think creative thoughts. And in a society where people fear having those thoughts, the likelihood of being able to enjoy progress is significantly diminished.
Now, my people, did you not just hear what she just said? Right now, the discussion has been around free speech. But basically, once we get that out of the way, and once we get access to people's thoughts and get access to people's emotions, we need to create a framework for people thinking so people are not scared, so people are safe. This is absolutely terrifying. Talk about thought police, my people. I'm fully intending and telling you right now, their plan is to have direct access to your thought, into your emotions, and able to manipulate them as they see fit, of course, for the greater good.
Every level of society, from the individual and the personal to the institutional to the global, to adapt to these technological challenges and changes which are redefining what it means to be human, what it means to work, what it means to be completely embedded in this world.
Now, my people, this shit isn't about saving the planet. This shit isn't about equality. All of this shit is about control. Many of the jobs will be taken over by robots. So they will redefine what's work and what it is to work. They want to redefine what it is to be human and to determine for you your role in the future of being essentially a transhuman. Cyberborg integrated into the new control grid, my people. Now, I want you people to understand what I'm about to say. Right now, we are witnessing the controlled demolition of the current system controlled by design in order to usher in this new transhumanistic agenda. This new system is of global governance. This new digital system of control where we will be unable to distinguish organic life from artificial. We won't even have access to our own thoughts. We won't even be able to control our own thoughts and emotions because they're going to do that for us. You want to know why? Because we're going to be tied right into their grid. Now, the current system was never meant for it to last forever, my people. It was meant to only last long enough to enslave humanity through debt. And until the technology caught up with the technocrats' envisioned future. And now it's here, my people. Do you think the central banks would take the responsibility for the collapse of the current system? Do you think the government would take the responsibility of the current system? No. This fake ass virus would be the excuse to burn down the old system, as we are seeing happening right now. And out of the ashes, this new system would just appear. Now, I want you people to put on your thinking cap and just use your logical brain for a second. Don't you think that it's just a fucking coincidence that the central banks just so happen to have their new digitalized currency ready to go? Did you hear me? Isn't it not just a coincidence that the central banks already have their new digitalized currency ready to go? These motherfuckers have already been rebuilding the global infrastructure for years to facilitate this new digital financial system that I've been telling you people about. This new digital financial system of control, which is about to be rolled out right now on all of us. At the same time, they are rolling out the new digital immunity passports. And the UN digital identity plan is being rolled out and worked out right now, which is being funded right now by Bill Gates. My people, there's so much more and more I can continue to go in about. But right now, we have to cut it here. Global governance, my people, is right now at our fucking doorsteps. It is just being rolled out under the justifications of this fake-ass virus, COVID-19. At the end of the day, we the people do not have a say-so of our future according to them. We don't even get a vote according to them. These technocrats are deciding the future of humanity for us right now. And guess what, my people? The future of humanity isn't human at all. As I stated in the beginning of my video, all praises to the Most High. I'm not worried about this shit because at the end of the day, my faith is on lock with nothing more than the Most High. Everything that is prophesied in that Bible, from the Old Testament, from the Apocrypha, and to the New Testament, it's coming into existence, my people. I'm telling you all, while y'all out here wearing all these fucking masks, submitting to what these people are telling you what to do, just pay attention to what's going on. They are enforcing you to wear a fucking mask everywhere. Now just use your brain for a second. What you think what the next step gonna be? Once they roll out that fucking vaccine, if you're not vaccinated, they're not gonna let you come back to work. They're not gonna let you come into business. They're not gonna let your kids come to school. Then what you think was gonna be the next step? The fucking chip, the mark of the beast, that motherfucking RFID chip, which is prophesied in the book of Revelations in the Bible. Like I stated in so many other videos, I'm not making these videos for no fucking clout or just to be rattling off at yah-yah and at the mouth. I'm doing this shit to awaken you people. You better get closer with the Most High Yahweh Shai, man. You better open up that Bible and you better ask God to open up your third eye. Ask him to open up your mind, your spirit, your soul, and inherit what you're reading. Y'all just don't know what's going on, man. Anyways, man, I'm about to get off this video, man. I wish everybody who don't know who I am, follow me on Instagram at Mr. 6_foot_5, and I'ma holler at y'all, man. Shalawah, shalom, my people.